This analysis could take about 90 minutes to present. I'm going to do it in 15. I've been on an absolute tear for 5 weeks, absolutely nailing the TA on AMC. I've been doing some IWM and SPY analysis as well. I'm going to go ahead and present that. I have AMC pulled up right now, and as you can see, we've completed this V-top pattern, and we are at a critical level of support and resistance. I want to just keep that in mind, and I'm going to jump to SPY and then IWM and round back to AMC. So here we go. I put in several hours worth of analysis into what I'm about to present. So I really hope I can present this quickly and concisely and just kind of get out of the way, really, because this takes a lot of time. I have stuff I gotta do today. Here we go. Let's see, auto zoom, here we go. I have an ascending broadening wedge on SPY. I've been following this. You can see there was a breakout, a pullback, and now we're coming back down. And that target of 404 was basically reached this week. As you can see, the price did come down, and you can see a couple of touches at that level. People are gonna be asking for a double bottom here, but that's completely unconfirmed. The freak buy calls line is right here. If the price can come out and break out above that line, that's great. Otherwise, I'm still thinking that we're going to head lower, much lower. It's kind of hard to say where exactly. I want to zoom in really quick and look at this right angle, or this right angled and descending broadening formation that I've shared before. You can see last week I was expecting a breakdown and then maybe a test of that lower trend line and then seeing where the market goes from there. What we actually had was another test, another rise, another partial rise. Okay, we now have a double top partial rise, and the price is all but ready to move below that intermediate valley between those two peaks, confirming a double top pattern and pushing the price lower. So Monday is going to be a huge signal day. If Monday is red, and it may be, I would expect a lot more downside, waiting for the RSI to spill into oversold. You can see volume is increasing as we are coming down here, so the market could be trying to carve out a bottom. It is true. It's too early to tell. Honestly, it really is. Waiting for Monday to give us a signal on SPY. Now, IWM looks a little different than SPY. I'm going to zoom out here. I put together a couple different charts going into the daily here on the 1 hour. You can see I have a downtrend, and the price is moving in what looks to be a measured move down. There's one right in here nested into the first leg of this bigger measured move down. The corrective phase has been broken out of in the last couple of weeks, and the price has attempted to pull back and failed, and is now setting a new low, breaking that corrective phase support for good, I think, and we're looking to see a fulfillment of the second leg of the measured move down, which would be a significant drop somewhere down to about 153. Yeah, that's a huge drop, right? I do have some drawings on my 4 hour. They're basically just trend lines showing the anatomy of these measured move down. I don't need to go into that too much. Now, these chart patterns I do want to share, and I did draw these on the 4 hour chart. They look really good on the daily too, but I'm going to show them here. I'm going to blow this up a little bit. It's a little scrunched on the left side. That's okay. So there's a symmetrical triangle in here that forms a left shoulder. Then there's a smaller left shoulder making a complex head and shoulder top. You can see that here. And there is, look at that, I think StockEd in my Discord would have something to say about that pattern. But that topping pattern above that symmetrical triangle target is the head of our complex head and shoulders. As you come down, we have the small right and the big right shoulders of that topping pattern, and they form a right angle descending broadening formation on that right side. You can see the target is here, and the price has been bouncing against that level a couple different times, forming a broadening bottom. Now, what's ominous is that the broadening bottom, while it is a bullish pattern, this one does not particularly look all that bullish. We do have a partial rise. You can see the price had come down, touched the lower trend line, bounced up, and now has turned back below, and is very close to staging a downward breakout. And given where the RSI is, and how implied volatility is correlated with the price movement, this again looks like SPY in that a bad day on Monday could lead to a further spill. So that's really what I'm expecting. I've been right way too much for way too long, and let's just get something wrong here. I'm just going to say exactly what I think and make some big, broad, specific claims or forecasts, and that's typically how you get things wrong. So here we go. I think we're going to see at least two more really, really, really big, scary days. Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, and then reversal. Boom, and then we'll pop back up. And it's really going to depend on what economic data comes out. we do have mortgage applications, CPI, and retail sales all coming out, and how those interact with the price or how the market interprets that news is going to be a big deal. So I'm going to be watching the news very, very carefully and playing it more safe than not. But really, I do think that we're going to see a breakout lower, and the target for that broadening bottom, if it does break out to the downside, is 169. Very bearish. Very bearish. Okay, now I'm going to hop into AMC. And on the daily chart, you can see this V-top is completed. We did have an extension of a V-top in here. There's a fractal V-top. The second V-top had this extended handle, was a right-angled broadening formation, just like we saw in IWM. And the price did break down and is now pushing lower, breaking to the downside. So I wanted to really understand what was going on here. And I ended up going through like all of my charts. And I've broken down the list into, only 15 or so. No. Okay, so price mirror, here we go. So this analysis is going to blow your mind. It blew my mind. So the first thing I did was I found the mirror, and that's what this vertical line is here. And I said, okay, what do I have on either side of this mirror? There's a double top in here. And price mirrors are a thing. Bulkowski does address them on his webpage, and it's really worth reading. Price mirrors are really hard to predict. By the time that you have one, it's already done generally, right? So it's hard to know how far a mirror is going to go. This one in particular at least has a similar pattern in the red circle here and the red circle here, so you can see there was some mirroring going on. And then I asked myself, well, do these big runs up and down have a similarity? And they do. Here we have a half staff formation with this pennant, and the target was reached up here. And there is significant support or resistance at $30.60. On the way down, we have another flag pull, and this half staff tilted formation is a flag instead of a pennant, but they're both half staff formations, and the full extension of both was reached, and that's these two levels down here. And the price is back down at this crucial level, and to see a further breakout downward would signal much more downside to come, which I'm just going to say that's what I'm expecting. That's really what I'm expecting. There's a lot of hope for a market bounce where we are now, but I think that the rally we saw with the FOMC meeting notes, I think that rally was an opportunity for the market to recover if it were going to do so. It did not. So I'm thinking we have earnings coming in, and given that the GDP was negative for the first quarter of 2022, that AMC, being a discretionary retail expense sort of a thing, is not going to have very great numbers, and that's going to bode poorly for earnings, pushing the price lower to these single-digit targets that I've been waiting for. When I was looking at this price mirror, I wanted to figure out where those trends were that broke, that led to the extension of the trends. So we had a downtrend formed by these three peaks coming in, and when that downtrend was broken, that's where we saw this big extension. And then I asked myself, well, why don't I just try to get a uptrend to pierce that intersection where that downtrend and the price mirror met? And what I got was this trend, and it's actually a really good trend line. If I zoom in, you can see that we take the low and that second low from the second day, and that sets the trend for the whole run up. That's crazy, right? But that's how it works. And you can see that where those three things intersect, we do get a trend line, and when that trend line is broken, the price does make a decided move lower. So this price mirror is a very complete thought. I think if this pattern is done now, and well, the prevailing trend is down, and you can see that as the price drops, the distance from the price and the trend line increases and begins to close. And this is typically where I say, hey, look, we're probably going to get a bottom. This is how I identify bottoms, is when the price does get that close to the trend line. And we actually had a double topping pattern here, and we set some new lows on Friday. Before Friday's lows, that downtrend looked something like this, and we had the false breakout forming that double top. And then once those new lows came in, that trend line moved out, right? And now we see the price moving away again from that trend line, threatening to double bottom, but we'll see. So what I'm looking for on Monday is, first, we're going to test this downtrend, I think, and then we're going to test this upper downtrend. It's possible we have a couple of green days before we head lower, but really I'm thinking we're just going to head down. That's really what I'm banking on, is that we're just going to see a full extension of that second leg. And I want to give an example of what I'm looking for exactly. It did appear on the 1 minute chart on Thursday. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that there trend, their circle. Okay, so we did have this big dump in the morning, right? And then we had this corrective phase forming the scallop, the swoopies, the AMC swoopies. And so there's our low. That was our downtrend, right? And then we had a corrective phase start, and I bailed out of a put here at a small loss. I was pretty convinced we were going to see the price move higher, but that's not what happened. Instead, what happened is that we had a new low come in right about here, right there. That was a new intraday low. Yep, and so as soon as that low comes in, that trend line needs to move so it doesn't overlap the price at all, which includes that little high. And you can see how the price closes range again with the downtrend. But then what happens afterwards? You have this dump. Look at that. And that's kind of what I'm thinking that we're going to see on the daily as well. And yeah, nastiness, right? Absolute nastiness. Sure enough, too, there's a false breakout. And then boom, a huge dump. So where exactly we'd see this sort of behavior or pattern on the daily, I'm not sure, but I am expecting some more downside. We're probably going to see this big dive where we have this funny topping pattern appear above a trend line and then further downside actualized. So yeah, that looks double bottomy, sure, but I'm just gonna say it. I think the markets are gonna go down. I think we're gonna have a couple of scary days, and then we're gonna bounce. And then we have economic news coming out later this month that will ultimately decide the direction of the markets. So that was my analysis, and I really should spend more time on it. Just I'm not going to. You need to pause on any of those charts. Look at them. There's a lot of patterns there, a lot of price targets. I'm still bearish. I'm still going to be trading puts on AMC. I'm going to take it easy on Monday morning, though, waiting for the market to really choose a direction because there probably will be a bear trap. So that's where I'm at. Happy trading.